Hey guys, what's up? It's funny. I just recorded this whole entire podcast episode and I don't think it's saved. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was I was recently on Facebook and I saw this beautiful artwork. I'll probably try to insert it in here, but the idea of the artwork just depicted two different sides of life when we're dealing with people. And of course, we know that there's a possibility that people will use you, drain you of your resources and your energy in order to destroy you. And that's the negative side. However, it's important for us never to forget that other possibility that we may encounter someone who uses our energy for good and reciprocates it. Oftentimes, we tend to let one negative incident affect and change our whole perspective moving forward. And that could be a very dangerous thing. I'll tell you why. Because we end up missing out on opportunities and connections with people that could be in our best interest or just like feel good. Not in best interest such as being opportunistic, but just feel good, right? And it's important that we don't project onto that next connection. So for case of example is if you do have a breakup, um, friendships, relationships, anything negative that happens to you doesn't mean that the next person is going to do the same thing. So why be so defensive with that other person who didn't do anything to you? So it's just about understanding and recognizing our own defense mechanisms, how sometimes they can be unnecessary, and allow life to happen. Right? Um, so another thing that was discussed was just the idea of the fact that this also can apply to um, life lessons, not just people. So, for example, in my recent TikTok that I'll be posting shortly, I mentioned how majority of my best moments and accomplishments honestly came from mistakes that were made and detours that were taken. And I swore up and down, like at that time when they happened, I swore that, oh my God, this is a mistake. This is it. It's gonna ruin me. Everything's ruined. I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid. And I was so hard on myself and critical of myself. Um, because I can tend to be um I can do negative self-talk very well. So this is no different. And it's so funny how now I'm in this space where I can recognize that these detours and mistakes end up being some of the best things to ever happen. Because had I not done that, I would never had the experiences and opportunities that I had that were actually great. Um, uh, I can even think from since I was small, I remember my mom made a mistake and enrolled me in the wrong program. And I ended up loving it. I ended up traveling to Spain abroad at a young age. I ended up meeting new people and learning languages and realizing I had a love for language. Um, and I would have never discovered that had I not done that. Never wanted to be married. Never wanted kids. I was one of those people that was like, zero kids. I'm gonna have zero kids. I'm not gonna be married. I'm gonna travel the world. I'm gonna do my career. I'm gonna be a career woman. I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. Like I'm good. And it's funny to see how when I got pregnant, when I got married, and I had to eat my words because I was so sure and certain that I knew what was going to happen in my life. And we have to get out of our own way sometimes. I ended up realizing that we all tend to have this list of what we think is going to happen, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to college, then I'm going to get married, then and then I'm going to have a kid after I get married, right? So that way it can be in order and it could seem like it's the right way, right? I got to do it in the right order. What is the right order? Who comes up with that? Um, and we just going through life thinking we know everything, thinking we know how everything is going to happen to us based on what we dreamed of, whatever that may be. And so, my best advice would be stop doing those things. Stop it. Don't have, yes, you could go in and have maybe a list of what you hope to achieve and accomplish, but some people, some of us, I'm going to include myself because I was one of those where oh, when I'm 25, I'm going to do this. And we assign numbers and ages and certain criteria that is just too much um, because it's life and it happens to us. And believe it or not, when you least expect it, something good or bad could happen to you. You won't even know because you're not in control. You can only be in control of your reaction, your responses. But as far as like what happens to you, what life throws at you, release it because you're not gonna ever be able to control it. Right? Most of us have lost people who we thought would be here and who we wanted to live forever and see us have kids, and it didn't work out that way because we are not in control. Our only responsibility is just to live life and have a life, a human experience. That's it. Just be human and just enjoy your ride while you're here, as long as you can be here. And it's so funny how it sounds cliche, but we never listen. It's cliche, we say it all the time, and we hear it all the time, but nobody listens. We're so hard headed, we're so stuck in our ways and what we want. And and I say all that to again bring it back to the main topic, which is we feel like we know something. We don't want to experience any negative um, unfortunate circumstances. We don't want to, like, we don't want to do work. We don't want to do the hard work of going through lessons. We don't want to meet those people who drain our energies. We don't want to fail. We don't want to have a business and have to give it up and say, oh man, it didn't work out. We don't want anything negative to happen to us. And because we don't want it, we tend to try and control certain things and project onto others when we shouldn't be doing that because you cannot you cannot live this life without any mistakes happening to you. You can't live this life without any lessons being needed to be had. So if since that's the case, why don't you just ride this out the best way possible? And that is taking these lessons and learning them and applying them, and it's that simple. Think about the same analogy about people who drain you, right? Okay, one bad apple can't spoil the whole bunch. We know that. But guess what? Because we've encountered a bad apple, one or two, we should be able to recognize another one approaching. That's the lesson. That's the secret of life, is being able to take those similar patterns, similar behaviors, and be able to implement them. So when you see the person coming along, you're like, something is too familiar and not in a good way. And because of that, I'm just going to exit real quick because you're not going to get me again. And it's okay to do that once you have enough um, evidence, per se. That person is exhibiting similar behaviors in the same way, in the same fashion. It's okay to be direct and call it out, right? And I find that when you are direct with someone and you have a boundary set up and you're observing them, you call them out on it, or you're very direct, usually those who don't mean you well, they'll fall back automatically before you even get to that point because they could sense that you're not on that BS. And so they usually move around and go to someone else. And that's okay. Another thing is that it's funny to me how when you do encounter those who do mean you well, they don't mind your boundaries. They're not bothered by anything that you're saying. They're not bothered by um, any directness. They're okay with that because they're real. They're actually coming to you in a transparent way. So there is no intimidation um, with them usually because, again, they don't have anything to hide. And they know you don't either. So understand that and recognize that these are the people who we need to make sure that we're keeping in touch with, that we don't ruin those connections. Because genuine people are hard to find. How are you going to find them if you don't open yourself up and open yourself to learning about people and being social with people and putting yourself out there? Because genuine people are not just going to walk up to you and be like, hey, you want to chill and be my friend? No. Talking has to be, because they're trying to weed you out too. So in order for all the genuine people to connect, there has to be connection. So you cannot isolate yourself um, and still complain that you don't have any friends or that you find it hard to connect with people. Go out and do connecting. Just be observant, use your discernment, use your judgment, because that is the goal. That is the actual activity. That is your task in life, is to take what you have learned beforehand and apply it moving forward. You don't want to learn the same lessons twice or 3 times or 10 times, but you should at least learn it once, and it's okay to learn it once because now you're more aware, you're more knowledgeable, you know what to see, what to spot, what to identify, and all that stuff. So that is a plus.